impact. How do we convince the politicians, the government agencies to come up with projects like the clean truck projects or PAPAS, that kind of thing? Because initiating a project like this in developing country can be challenging.
A challenge, yes.
Yes.
Great point again. I think in many of the developing parts of the world, in the US, these kind of projects end up getting initiated often after somebody screams, the public. And that happens through some newspaper starting to write articles because they have nothing else to write on, and they are looking for things, and then they find that there is enough public who are outraged by something, and they go instigate it, and it comes bottom up to some extent. But around the world, that type of in many I don't know what's the situation exactly in Thailand, but in many countries there isn't that type of public involvement, and because the public thinks that they won't be heard, and they don't bother to talk. In those situations, the good aspect in many of the developing, I wouldn't say developing, but less developed than US type of countries, but very closely developed situations around the world. What ends up happening is that you need champions for these kind of things to happen. But the interesting thing is, you can take the example of Curitiba, Brazil, which is a very well-known case of a city going completely green, totally because of the vision showed by one individual, the mayor of Curitiba in Brazil, who almost 2 decades back just decided we are going green. He had the vision, and he was able to push it through. And if you have a champion in Thailand for doing something like this with sufficient amount of political connections, let's say, it's much easier to do it here than it is. I mean, one can try to be a champion in the US, you will get nowhere. But you try to be a champion in many other countries around the world, you may actually get something done. The problem is lack of champions. If we can find a champion, or maybe the academic world and the practicing world could play a role in creating a champion. That has also happened in some situations where we instigate somebody to turn into a champion by just educating a person, saying, this is so important, you can do this, here are all the benefits. Now you take a problem like this, there are so many things that a politician can actually hang their hat on. They can tell the people, look, I did all of this, look how many cancer deaths I avoided by building this highway. And that's very easily sellable. But many politicians don't know such opportunities are there. So from a practical standpoint, again, a great question. If we could play a role in instigating somebody to champion these kind of thoughts, that might get somewhere. Thank you.
I'm very pleased to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Dongju Park. Dr. Park holds a master's degree in city planning, transportation planning, and engineering from Seoul National University, Korea in 1993. He received his doctoral degree in civil engineering, specializing on transportation system analysis and intelligent transportation system from Texas A&M University in 1998. Dr. Park is currently a faculty member in the School of Civil Engineering, University of Seoul in Korea. His research involved the field of transportation, system analysis, and route demand modeling, intelligent transportation systems, and artificial intelligence application in transportation. This morning, Dr. Park will share with us his experience and work on application of Korea Transportation Database System. Please join me to give Dr. Park a warm welcoming. Dr. Dongju Park.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dongju Park, and I'm a professor in the Department of Transportation Engineering in University of Seoul. I appreciate the invitation and hospitality about this seminar. Actually, I love the Thailand, and actually, from 2000 to 2003, I worked for AIT for about 3 years, and I had a nice experience and nice time at that time, and I was very productive. You know, in 3 years, we had 2 new babies in Thailand, and so I have a good memory in Thailand about Thailand, and I always happy to be here. Usually, you know, on average, I come and visit Thailand about every years. The title that I would like to present today is about Korea Transportation Database System, and I would like to talk about what is the KTDB and what is our experience and what kind of implication we have to the Thailand government. I wish that my presentation will be helpful to Thailand government and the scholars. And this is the contents of my presentation. I would like to introduce the KTDB by using some video, and I would like to talk about the details of KTDB, and I would like to talk about how we apply. And then the next topic is what is the effects or what is the good points of having database systems. And lastly, I would like to discuss about the implications of our experience to Thailand government. I understand, and I'm quite sure that you like the Korean drama, right? So this morning you will watch the Korean movie, but the language is English.
For a faster, safer, more convenient, environment-friendly future, KTDB project is creating the new future of Korea's transportation. Today, transportation systems have become an essential part of modern life and the foundation of the nation's competitiveness. However, the problems caused by increasing amounts of traffic are creating a need for an integrated transportation plan, efficient infrastructure investment, and an advanced operating system. In the past, however, there has been inefficient use of financial resources and time for survey due to inaccurate basic data, lack of reliability. This is due to the lack of a standardized and integrated transport database on the national level. It needs to collect accurate data for establishing basic transportation plans. This information must be analyzed thoroughly to create a reliable database system. To meet those needs, the Ministry enacted the Transportation Systems Efficiency Act in 1999. This is a legal device to save budget and increase the reliability of the fundamental data by carrying out a national transportation survey in all fields including roads, railways, ports, and airports every 5 years. Creating a nationwide database and managing this information on the national level are the key role of the Korea Transport Database Center. In terms of nationwide transportation surveys, the United States Congress passed several legislation such as the IST in 1991, T21 in 1998, and Safety in 2004, which created the financial support for making the Bureau of Transportation Statistics within the Department of Transportation to collect traffic information and create a database. In terms of large-scale travel surveys on the federal government level, the National Personal Transportation Survey, American Travel Survey, and Commodity Flow Survey are performed every 5 years. The database of this information is utilized for research and making policies. In Japan, Transportation Research and Statistics Department of Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport Government of Japan is collecting, analyzing, and providing traffic-related data and information. It is carrying out periodic traffic surveys, including Nations Road Facilities Survey, Origin-Destination Survey of Passenger and Freight Traffic, Household Transportation Survey, and Transportation Census in large cities, and utilizing them for making policies. Recognizing the importance of traffic data and the need for an integrated management, Korea has established a 10-year plan to be completed by 2007. It executed Phase 1 of the Korea Transport Database Project, which aimed to create the fundamental Korea Transport Database during the 5 years from 1998 to 2002. The details of the project were as follows. In 1998, Korea Transport Database Center carried out the interregional passenger and freight traffic surveys to gather information about trip origin and destination for 167 transportation analysis zones nationwide. In 1999, Korea Transport Database Center conducted traffic count surveys, household survey, and freight survey to find out the origin-destination trip tables in 5 metropolitan cities such as Busan, Daegu, Gwangju, Daejeon, and Ulsan. In 2000, Korea Transport Database Center surveyed the traffic into suburbs from the Seoul and Gyeonggi area. Public Transportation Survey and Analysis and the Trip Generation Rate Survey Phase 1 of the Transportation Digital Map was also established, and the KTDB began providing data through the Internet in 2000. In 2001 and 2002, Korea Transport Database Center updated and improved the contents of the transportation statistics and literature, and a basic and comprehensive analysis of the data from the previous year was also completed. The Transportation Digital Map was created using the basic maps based on NGIS, and a network for traffic analysis was edited and developed. The foundation of the Korea Transport Database was established through the first phase of the project, which took 5 years. Based on the outputs of Phase 1 of the project, Phase 2 of the project, which began in 2003, aimed to expand the Korea Transport Database and improve the services. The objective of Phase 2 of the project, which is planned to take place for 5 years from 2003 to 2007, is to diversify the transport database and improve the utilization of the data. In the first and second year of the second phase of the project, 290 items of transportation statistics and data and the 12,000 items of literatures were renewed to provide information services. For the Transportation Survey and Analysis, Passenger Trip and Freight Traffic Survey, Public Transportation Survey, Marine Transportation Survey Traffic Volume Survey to outer cities, and passenger travel behavior analysis during the holiday seasons such as the Chinese New Year, summer vacation, and Chuseok were also implemented. Though the Transportation Infrastructure Survey, where the characteristics of transportation infrastructures, shapes, and characteristics have changed, roads inspected and updated. Transportation Digital Map was made with national standards, and this was widely used in the Geographic Information System. A network for traffic analysis was made for analyzing the transportation demands, and it has established a traffic analysis network for the future, including the years 2006, 2011, 2021, 2026, and 2031. Research and analysis data of the Korea Transport Database are being used to establish transportation-related policies and plans. First of all, the origin and destination of traffic, volume of passenger trip and freight traffic, and the network for traffic analysis are essential for data for forecasting transportation demands of various SOC investment projects. They are used in various government bodies, local governments, public organization, and the civilian sector to evaluate the feasibility of various transportation projects. The data related to the source of generating traffic for 1,700 facilities are being used as a basic index for expanding infrastructures and managing transportation demands. The Transportation Digital Map is used in various digitalization projects in the public and civilian sectors. It is already being used with the Ministry of Environment's Atmosphere Protection Policy System, the National Statistics Office Statistical Geographical Information System, and Korea Highway Corporation's Transportation Information Portal. In the transportation field, the Transportation Digital Map is used as the basic map of ITS system in 3 cities: Daejeon, Jeonju, and Jeju, which is making great contributions to improving the people's quality of life and increasing the nation's competitiveness. In addition, the Korea Transport Database Center is maintaining a timely response system to the policy makings. It also publishes various statistical reports and newsletters, including a national traffic survey report every 5 years, an annual national key transportation statistics report, quarterly information trends in KTDB, and weekly KTDB newsletter. The Korea Transport Database Center is saving over $30 million of budget by utilizing and sharing its data, by preventing overlapping surveys, which could prevent overlapping and duplication of surveys. The expected benefits of the Korea Transport Database are enormous, especially considering the use of standardized data and the strengthening and reliability of evaluation results. Having contributed to creating a leading transportation culture and strengthening the national competitiveness, the Korea Transport Database Center will diversify the various traffic data in its database and improve its services by strengthening the user's convenience. The Korea Transport Database Center will create an integrated data warehouse by Korea's traffic data by creating a transport database collaboration body, by sharing a data, and by making National Transport Database Hub and Spoke system. By constantly updating its database, improving the use of information between related organizations, sharing and utilizing the data through a collaboration system, the Korea Transport Database Center will provide more reliable and helpful data to the users. As a high-tech IT project, KTDB is in collaboration with National Digitalization Project, so the Korea Transport Database Center will fulfill its role as the mecca of transport database that provides every type of related data for the nation's transportation plans. The Korea Transport Database Project is leading the way toward the prominent tomorrow of Korea's transportation.
So actually, I have showed all of the basic outlines of the KTDB, and now I will go in detail each step by steps. So I think many of you are familiar with Korea, but let me show some statistics about Korea. So this is North Korea and South Korea. The entire Korean peninsula is about 1/6 of the size of Thailand. So Thailand is about 3 times bigger than the entire Korean peninsula, about 6 times bigger than the South Korea about. And the population is about 50 million, about 2/3 of Thailand. And household is about 17 millions. And the total length of highway is about 103,000 kilometers, and the length of railway is about 3,400 kilometers. And the contents of KTDB is they have the basic transportation statistics, and they have collected the literature about transportation policies, something like that, and they do traffic survey and collect data and analyze and keep the passenger and freights audit tables and mode share, something like that. And also for traffic, to allow the the analysis of traffic studies. We need to provide the transportation thematic maps and networks, and also we are handling and providing the DB systems. Those are basic contents of KTDBs. So the most important reason that why we started